Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Chance Ball Chapter 85, and this one is titled From 3 to 4. Is this real? He asked in an incredulous voice. Yeah, you chuckled, putting your drink down. Is it? Holy crap, are you? Really? Don't screw with me. I'm serious, you said as you walked over and embraced him. He wrapped his arms around you so suddenly and so tightly, it made you tear up while laughing. Oh crap, another one. We're having another one. He mumbled into your shoulder. When did you find out? He asked as he pulled back. Literally like 3 minutes ago, you said, wiping your eyes. I'd been feeling a little off, so I wanted to check and see, and yep, it's another one. I'm so freaking pumped, he said, letting you go so he could run his hands through his hair and grip into his scalp. Have you told Komi yet? Are we telling her? We should tell her, he said. Did you want to call her in? Komi, baby, come here, Dabi called excitedly. I'm watching volleyball, came her sassy reply. You're going to want to come and hear this, though, Dabi called back. There was another length of silence, and then she appeared in the doorway. She looked at you, and then at Dabi, and then back to you. What? She asked. Mummy has some news, Dabi said with a grin. What is it, Mum? She asked. Well, Mum's going to have a baby, you said with a smile. Her face fell, and then her bottom lip quivered and a tear slipped down her little cheek. Hey, what's wrong? You asked with concern when you saw her response. Are you gonna send me away when the new baby comes? She asked in a broken voice. What? You asked with horror. No, baby, sweetheart, no, we're not sending you away. Oh my goodness. You quickly walked over and picked her up for a cuddle as she clung to you. I don't want to go away, she sobbed. I love you and Daddy. We're not sending you away, sweetheart. We're having a little baby for you to help me look after. And you can give him or her a cuddle and teach them volleyball, you said, rubbing her back to calm her down. She sniffed heavily and sat back in your arms to look at you. Do you still love me? She asked, eyes still brimming with tears. Yes, of course, you stated firmly. We will always love you. Dabi stepped up at that point and embraced her as well, the three of you hugging it out in the kitchen. After a few days, Komi started to really come around to the idea of a sibling, and before long was starting to get really excited. Your belly grew day by day, and Komi became your little helper, getting things for you or picking things up from the floor if you couldn't reach them. You decided not to find out the gender until the little one was born, and you and Ko would think about different names for the coming baby. Komi seemed convinced that it was going to be a baby boy, and you tried to remain neutral, but she spoke with such conviction that it would rub off on you sometimes. How's our little lump growing? Dabi asked, placing a hand on your belly as he walked into the kitchen one evening. He's good, active little thing, you replied. He? Dabi asked. Oh, sorry, Komi just keeps saying that it's a boy and it's rubbing off on me, you chuckled. He is a boy, Komi announced, walking into the room and looking from you to Dabi and then back again. How do you know? Dabi asked. I just know, she said confidently. You shrugged and caressed your belly, smiling at him. Well, I don't really mind what gender the baby is. They will be loved regardless. And he is going to play volleyball like all of us, and then he can set for me, and it will be really, really lots of fun, she said with confidence, a grin on her face. I hope you're right, you said with a chuckle. All this little one ever hears about is volleyball. Dabi grinned and walked over and gave you another hug. Your little one was due to be born around early December, so that meant that you would have a very young bub to take with you when you were doing drop-offs and pick-ups from school next year with Komi, and you had to talk to your mum about her possibly picking Ko up from school some days and dropping her home, which would take the pressure off you, and then Dabi offered to do some other days as well. It's going to get busy real soon, you said to him one night as you sat on the bed with your belly out, sitting a small plate of food on top of it. I like it, Dabi said as he sat down next to you and then leaned down and kissed the side of your pregnant belly. We've been together for almost 6 years now. Married for almost 2, you added in. What are we doing for our 2nd year anniversary? Making a 3rd baby. Dabi leered at you. No thanks, I've had 2. You can have the other one, you said. Oh, you don't want any more? He asked. I'm just saying I'm sick of you sticking it into me and then me having to do all the work, you grunted. I can't believe I'm still here. Yeah, if I were you, I would have kicked me out ages ago, he said, moving a bit so that he could lie his head on your legs and look up at the ceiling. How have we not killed each other yet? You asked. I don't know. He sighed with a grin. Huh, you huffed with amusement. Guess we just got to stay together then. Yeah, guess so, he replied, still smiling to himself while you ate more food. You and Dabi both lived pretty busy lives, but he always seemed to be there for you when you needed it, and as the end of the year approached, your belly grew and he took more and more time off to help you around the house and to prepare for the baby's arrival. 2 weeks to go, you said with a grimace as you went from the bent position to straight with one hand on your back to help with the leverage of the baby bump out front. You sure you're not going to go early? He asked, looking at the sheer size of the bump you were sporting. This baby is a chubber, you grunted. Kohei was such a petite little thing, this monster child weighs a ton. Dabi sympathised quietly as he watched you waddle out of the room and off down the stairs, and he smiled to himself. You know what? For all the crap I've been through, my life has turned out pretty well, and I owe it all to Yin, he thought as he walked out after you. You had stopped halfway down the stairs, and you were looking down, well, trying to, onto the inside of your leg. What's up? He asked. There's wet coming from somewhere, you said, half to yourself, half to him. Where? I don't know, I can just feel wet. Maybe we should go to the hospital, he said, crouching down to see where you were trying to feel around under your belly. He saw that there was a trickle of water running down the inside of your leg that was wetting your sock, with a slight tinge of pink to it. Yeah, hospital, he said with a firm head nod. You go to the car. I'll get the bags and a towel for you. Koemi's still at prep, so I'll call your mum on the way to get her. Well, you have it all organised, don't you? You commented with a little bit of pride in his calm demeanour. Got it in the bag, baby. Let's go, he said, taking back off upstairs to get the bags before meeting you at the car door. The trickle of water was still there, so Dabi put the towel down on the seat and then helped you in, before putting the bags in the boot and getting into the driver's side. Siri, call monster-in-law, Dabi said into his phone that he had set in the middle of the console. Calling monster-in-law, Siri replied, followed immediately by the ringing tone. Hello, your mum asked when she picked up. How are you, Dabi? I'm taking Yin to the hospital right now, Dabi replied. Oh gosh, is she in labour? Your mum asked excitedly. Hi Mum, no, I'm fine. I think my waters may have broken though, you said. Oh, that won't be long then, she said with delight. Could you pick Koemi up from prep today? Dabi asked. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there to get her, if I'm with Yin. That's fine, your mum said quickly. I'll pick her up and I'll bring her back home here until further notice. Keep me posted, okay? I will do, Dabi said. Thank you. Good luck, your mum said to you. Thanks, Mum, you replied before Dabi hung up. It wasn't a very comfortable ride to the hospital, but you weren't in any labour pain yet, so that was nice. Dabi helped you out once you got to the other end and you waddled in with the damp towel in hand and a wet backside and made your way to reception. They were expecting you since Dabi had rung them on the way over, and you were ushered into the doctor's office for him to check you over. After a quick exam, he called for a wheelchair and sent you to the labour ward where you would be put in a white gown and placed on a bed there. Leads and plugs and all kinds of other things were attached to you as they monitored you and baby. The doctor had told them that there was a tear in your sac lining, hence why the amniotic fluid was leaking out. Baby seemed completely happy for the time being and just rolled and kicked around like usual while you rested on the bed. I still feel fine, you said to Dabi as he sat beside you with a worried look on his face. I haven't had any contractions. How are you feeling, Miss Yin? The senior nurse asked as she walked in. I feel fine, you replied. Any contractions? No, not yet. Okay. After talking to the team, we think it's a good idea to get Bub out of there, so I'm going to apply some gel to your cervix, and that should hopefully help you dilate and get things moving, she said, walking back to the door and pulling a trolley cart into the room. You eyed all of the equipment on it, and then followed instructions as she lay you back on the bed and inserted her fingers up into you to apply the gel. That part was uncomfortable, and you grunted with pain a few times before she removed her hand. We'll just give that a little time to work, and if it doesn't, then I'll have to rupture the bag myself, she said calmly, with a smile, and then left the room. Puncture the bag? Puncture the bag? She said it so calmly, but man, what a psychopath, you joked. What does that even mean anyway? You didn't have to wait long, because after another hour or so of waiting, she came back in to see how you were doing. Any contractions? She asked. No, you replied, shaking your head. Okay, let's speed things along a little bit then, she replied, pulling out what looked to be a knitting needle. Whoa, hang on, where's that going? You asked, watching as she walked towards you. After a brief explanation, you found out that is what was going to puncture the bag, and as soon as she inserted it in, you felt the waters break. That's when things really started to happen. Within 5 seconds, you got a contraction, and it was painful. The next one after that was worse, and you grabbed for Dabi's hand as you cried out in pain. Can we get something? Dabi called to one of the nurses, who happened to walk in at that moment. The nurse turned and ran out, calling for some other nurses to attend, and in no time the room was filled with medical staff and the bed was adjusted so they could see what was happening between your legs. You were too far along already for an epidural, so they told you could have the gas. The second that you were handed that pipe, you dragged on it like it was life itself, while Dabi watched on with nervous confusion. To him, everything happened so quickly, and before he knew it, the baby had been pulled free of your body, and the nurses were rushing to clamp the umbilical cord and take the little one away to be checked over. Ooh, is everything okay? We'll have to stay tuned for the next chapter. I'll see you tomorrow.